So for 2020, the topic of Mental Health Awareness Week is sleep. And this is a great topic because regardless of your mental health status, getting the right amount of sleep is something that can benefit all of us. We all know that after a good night's sleep, or better yet, a good sleep routine, we feel that much better the next day. We cope with life's little stresses and strains that little bit better, and then that has a cumulative effect throughout each day. So without further ado, here are my top 7 tips to help you get better sleep. Tip number 1, try to maintain a similar sleep schedule every day of the week, even weekends. We work off something called a circadian rhythm. So that means around a day. So within a day, we have a certain rhythm of times that our brain wants to wake up and wants to fall asleep. Anyone who's ever worked shifts will know just how much this can be sent out of whack, even by just changing for a couple of hours. Or if you've been on a holiday far away and you've come back with jet lag, you know that it can take a couple of days to actually get this routine back on cycle. So if we do that at the weekends, if we say sleep in for an extra 2 or 3 hours, it's similar to kind of transferring through time like that as if you would if you were coming from somewhere in a 2 or 3 hour time zone away. And it can take a couple of days, Monday and Tuesday, to get back into it. This is especially important right now as world events have made it so a lot of us don't actually have to be up at a certain time anymore. So people are staying up later, staying in bed later, getting less quantity of sleep, getting less quality of sleep, and so on. Tip number 2, set up your sleep environment for the following 3 factors: light, noise, and temperature. With light, it very much is a the less the better situation. So if you can get blackout blinds so that you actually have the top of the curtain, the top there where there's no light getting through, if you can reduce ambient light in the room, things like the standby lights on TVs, these things are all going to help. For sound, some people prefer complete silence, and for others, there's no louder sound than silence. So if you're in the first category, then you want to try and reduce sound as much as possible. Maybe even invest in a nice comfy pair of earplugs. If you're in the second category and you prefer a little bit of noise, then there are great playlists out there designed for this. Things like isotones or even sleep storms is one of my particular favorites. And you can even set the timer on your phone to turn your music off after a certain period of time on most phones. For temperature, we're talking about a sweet spot. Not too hot, not too cold. We all know that in winter we can get into a bed and it can just be kind of almost like sleeping on icicles. And at the same time that getting into bed in summer, it can feel muggy, clammy. There's no amount of covers you can take off to get cool enough. If anything, we want to err on the side of being slightly cooler. So if you can keep the temperature in your room a little bit below what you consider to be optimal. Tip number 3, swap the phone for a book. Now, I'm sure we all know about the whole thing with blue light, and that on devices, the blue light is designed that actually keeps us feeling awake. Now, most phones now have a blue light filter, but that's not the only thing keeping us feeling awake on there. So what else keeps us awake on there is the reward systems. And you think about playing games on the phone or using social media on the phone or even playing high adrenaline video games. Each one of these things is going to kind of get that adrenaline going, and it's designed to keep you awake and keep you on it. If you switch that out for a book or something that is not giving you those constant light rewards, you're going to find that you sleep a lot better. Number 4, ditch the caffeine. So everyone's got different sensitivities towards caffeine, right? And some people can have a double espresso for 10 minutes before bed and be out like a light. For other people, it's like anything even sort of past mid-afternoon can still be in that person's system and keeping them awake during an evening. Now, the common thing here is people go, right, I'll switch coffee for tea. But the thing is that regular tea has just as much caffeine in it as your standard coffee does as well. So in this situation, I would say opt for something herbal and make sure it says that it is caffeine free. Number 5, swerve the alcohol. Now I know, you're probably stopping listening because I've just said no coffee and now I'm saying no alcohol too, right? But here's the thing, even though a lot of people think that having the odd drink here and there helps them drift off to sleep, studies have shown that it actually impacts negatively the quality and the quantity of that sleep once people are in sleep. So it can actually have a negative impact on things like your REM cycles, which dictate the quality of the sleep that you're getting. So it might actually help you get over that hump, but ultimately it's not helping you in the long run. And then in the long run too, the belief that I need a drink in order to get to sleep can seriously lead into a dependency issue on alcohol, and that's something we want to avoid. Number 6, try a brain dump. A brain dump is where we get a journal out and we write everything that is in our head, right? I've got this theory that when my brain is active overnight, it's not active because of the thoughts. It's active because it wants me to remember those thoughts. Often it's active with things like creativity or jobs that I needed to do around the house. That's the time of day that the brain suddenly wakes up and starts going for it. So what I do is I keep a journal there and I write it down, everything that's in my head. Because once I do that, my brain doesn't now have to commit to remembering that. My brain doesn't have to commit to memorizing that, because the paper's got it and I know that it's there secure for the next day. So I can then release that. That helps me to get to sleep. And number 7, not technically about helping you get more sleep, but just helping you to capitalize on the sleep that you do. And that is, we want to swerve the phone again, okay? Ditch that phone. Because when we go on the phone, it puts us into a reactive state. And the first thing we do in our day primes us for the rest of the day. It sets the tone. And if we're going into that reactive state, being triggered by comments or notifications, it's not going to put us in a good state. Maybe switch it for doing some stretching, maybe having breakfast in bed, or maybe just taking the time to make your bed before you do anything else. Each of these things will put you in a more proactive mood for the rest of the day.